Hello everybody, this is Streaming Gamer back for another Dinosaur King tier list. Yes, it's been a while since I did the last one, so we were due for one, wasn't we? And this time we are doing all the Earth dinosaurs. This one was quite a difficult one to do because the thing with Earth dinosaurs is that a lot of their super moves are actually pretty good in comparison to the super moves from other elements, such as lightning, for example. I find that the Earth super moves are just really good. So, for example, Earth Barrier. I'd probably say Earth Barrier is one of the best super moves in the whole game, hands down. And then you have moves like Quake Saber, which is pretty decent. And a lot of these Earth dinosaurs do have good synergy with Quake Saber, which you'll see later. Rock Roller, which is not too amazing, you know, is really strong if you use it on Tyrannosaurus, but Earth Barrier is just better. And then you have moves like Giga Rock. Giga Rock Hammer is what it is. It's like this just Flare Sword for Earth dinosaurs. Not much to go through there. Crystal Crusher as well, which is a decent move. I'd say out of the Cataclysms, maybe Crystal Crusher might be one of the weaker ones though. It's still a really good move, but in comparison to things like Deathfire, which is the best Cataclysm moves. When I say Cataclysm moves, I mean moves like Deathfire, Aqua Vortex, Counter Blitz, Crystal Crusher, Emerald Garden and Dino Illusion. 6 pretty powerful moves in general. But yeah, enough about the moves. We'll cover the moves when I do the move card tier list, but for now we're doing the Earth dinosaur tier. So yeah, let's get started. And yes, I have all the lovely stats for all the Earth dinosaurs here, along with some fun facts. The interesting thing about this is that Tyrannosaurus is definitely dominant here, but things like Tarkia and the Steg have respectable crits too. And it seems that scissor crits on Earth dinosaurs are not very prevalent, and it seems there's more focus around rock and paper. Actually, I actually need to correct that. Hang on. Oops. I forgot to include Lexovisaurus. But anyway, that's enough about that. Enough jibber jabber. Let's get on with the tier list. Okay, we're not going to start with this one because this is just the banner I used. We'll start with Alpha Wuhosaurus. Okay, Alpha Wuhosaurus has Poison type. It has a Defense type variant. It has a higher crit than its normal counterpart, but I think I'm going to put it in B. I think it's okay. It's not a bad dinosaur, but in comparison to the other Earth dinosaurs, it's not as good as them. Okay, now for, I can't even tell what that one is. I think it's Super Edmontonia. I mean, super dinos are easy to grade. Stick them in A tier. Enough said, not much to discuss. Okay, now for Decentrarurus. Decentrarurus has 2 pretty good types. Counter type, which doesn't have as good synergy on Earth dinosaurs because again, Rock Roller gets triggered after a win, Quake Saber gets triggered after a tie, so counter type doesn't have synergy in that aspect, but it's still a pretty good battle type to have. And then Decentrarurus has tie type, which synergizes well nicely with Sand Trap. Sand Trap probably being one of the best tie base moves, I would say. Lowering your opponent's defense in a tie is pretty strong. So I'm going to put it above Wuhosaurus. Alpha Wuhosaurus, I should say. Okay, now for the wild card here. The Tyrannosaurus. Now, I'm sure as you have heard many times before from me, Tyrannosaurus actually has the highest crit in the game. At 1050. And however, its crit is paper. If its crit was rock, I could argue putting Tyrannosaurus possibly into S tier, purely based on how powerful that crit is. But despite its crit being paper, it can still use Rock Roller, and I still think I can justify putting it in A tier. You know, even though its crit is rock, and realistically you don't want to use Earth Barrier on it, I still think Tyrannosaurus is a very strong dinosaur because of that crit. But its strength is its weakness to a degree. The fact that its crit is that powerful, but its paper is a paper crit. If it was a rock crit, it'd be, like, as I said, arguably going to S tier, because I think Tyrannosaurus can be that good. Okay, now for the easy one, Tank Dinotector, S tier. Not much to say. It's very, well, all of these stats here for Tank are pretty much universal throughout all the variations of Tank. Super Tank, Tank Dinotector, and Cychania Dinotector. All the stats are the same. And yeah, not much to say here. Tank Dinotector, a solid dino. Okay, now for Edmontonia. Edmontonia has a decent scissors crit, which is pretty good for it. because again, it can use moves like Earth Barrier, Sand Trap, and it doesn't have to waste the crit. However, because his crit is scissors and his crit does pack a bit of a punch, you can't use moves like Quakesaber and Rock Roller on it. So the best move you could probably use on it is Molotov. So I don't think it deserves a spot in A tier, but I do think it's going to go into B tier. I do think it's a solid bronze, but I don't think it's that amazing. Okay, now for Pinacosaurus. Pinacosaurus, I don't really know much about this guy. Yes, as a paper crit, his crit is pretty decent. It's slightly less than Desandraurus, but it does have more overall attack. I'm going to put it below Desandraurus. I think Desandraurus does have better versatility to it, and I think Pinacosaurus does fall short on the versatility aspect, mainly because there was only one printed version of it, so it doesn't have other battle types you can use. Right, now for regular tank. Now, the thing with regular tank is, I find tank is actually arguably the best anime dinosaur out of the six. So Chomp, Ace, Paris, Terry, Tank. Out of those six, I feel like tank is arguably the best. It has super defense type variant, which is really solid. It has all-round move. It has decent technique. It has really good versatility to it. So you could pretty much use anything on it to a degree. You could go for all attack and use moves like Quakesaber and such. Or you can go for super resilient. Or you could just use Sand Trap and things like Giga Hammer and Crystal Crusher to chip away at the opponent. So I'm going to put it up here. I don't think it's as good as Super Edmontoni, because, you know, Super Edmontoni has the Awaken mode set and tank, and regular tank doesn't. But yeah, tank definitely a really good dinosaur. And I would say the best bronze Earth dinosaur, which means that there'll probably be no other Earth dinosaurs going up past tank. Okay, now for Super Sauropelta. Not much to say. Super Dino, crit of scissors, which does hurt it to a degree. A tier. Enough said. Okay, now for Polacanthus. Polacanthus has Reform type, which can be pretty useful, and Tie Recovery type, which is good with Sand Trap. Its moves are relatively balanced. Its crit is Rock. Oh, I'm going to put it... Do I think it's better than Edmontonia? No, I think Edmontonia edges it out. Only just though, but I do think the two are on par pretty much. Right, now for Tarkia. Now, Tarkia may surprise you here, but I'm going to put it up here. Why I think it deserves to be an A tier, because it's a very solid dinosaur, it's very all-round. It has good versatility to it. Even though its crit is scissors, its moves are very balanced, and as you can see here, if you use the attack type version, it actually has decent damage for its non-crit, so you could still get away with using moves like Rock Roller and Quakesaber if you really wanted. And you could even just chuck Mole Attack as the scissors and use stuff like Sand Trap, Earth Barrier. You know, you have good access to the really good Earth moves if you really wanted to use them. So yeah, Tarkia, really good, and in my opinion, the best silver Earth dinosaur in the game. Speaking of more silvers, we have the Stegosaurus. Now, Stegosaurus has Attack type, Crisis type, Hunter type, and Tie Recovery type. So 3 pretty good battle types, except for Hunter type, which is meh. Its crit is really powerful, so it does have good Quakesaber usage. And I think it does deserve a spot in A tier, but low A tier. I think while it is a pretty solid silver dinosaur, I don't think it is as good as these 3. And I'd probably say he's more on par with Tyrannosaurus, if anything. Alright, now for Lexovisaurus. Now, this one will surprise a lot of people. And I think this is definitely a wild card of the Earth dinosaurs. I'm putting it in low A. I actually think that Lexovisaurus is one of the best 1200 strength dinos in the whole game. It has super defense type, and it has lethal type. If you use the lethal type one, its crit, its rock crit is actually more powerful than any of the other Earth dinosaurs. So it has really good synergy with Quakesaber if you really wanted to go for a big hit. Or you could use the super defense type variant and go for resilience. So Lexovisaurus is a dinosaur where you can either go for attack or defense, and I think it is a really strong dinosaur, and it's a 1200 strength dino done well. Lexovisaurus, definitely a beast, and in my opinion the best normal Earth dinosaur that we have. What I mean by normal dinosaur is like non-bronze, non-silver, non-gold, non-super. Stuff like that. Right, speaking of supers, we got, I think this is Super Nodosaurus? Again, no argument, not much to say really. A tier, up here, pretty decent. It's a super dino, you get what it says on the tin. Right, now for Gastonia. Gastonia has 2 battle types, Hunter type, which is mediocre, and Attack type, which is really good. It's very balanced stats. Do I think it's better than Polacanthus? Let's have a look. Polacanthus does have more attack, but they're pretty much the same. So, and the Gastonia does have slightly more technique. So I do think the Gastonia does edge out Polacanthus a little bit. And I'm probably going to put it in high B. Yeah, high B. I think it deserves a high B. It's a solid 1400 strength dino. Not like amazing, but definitely a good dinosaur to have. Okay, now for Super Tank. Not much to say here. I'd probably say other than Super Cychania maybe, Super Tank is probably the best super dinosaur we have. Purely based on the reasons for why I put Tank up here. Another super dino, Super Talarurus. Again, when you cross our 1000 technique threshold, it doesn't really matter how low your technique is. As long as you cross the 1000 technique threshold, you're pretty much going to get those support moves off every time. So yeah, Super Talarurus will probably go by here. Again, why I think super dinos are better than normal dinos? Two words, awaken mode. That's pretty much it. Okay, now for the regular Talarurus. Okay, regular Talarurus has charge type and attack type variant. So the charge type variant works pretty well with Sand Trap. Its crit is rock and it's not too high. Of course, if you use the attack type one, it's pretty decent for a 1000 strength dino. And I'd probably say out of the 1000 strength dinos, I'd say it's the best one. So I'm going to put it by here. I think it edges out these two. If you use the attack type version, I think it does edge out these two. Right, now for Armatus. Armatus is an interesting one. Its crit is paper. It doesn't have an exceptionally powerful crit. It's kind of like Tank to a degree. It's more balanced. Has a poison type variant. I'm going to put you... Do I think it's better than Tank? No. So I'm going to put it by here. I do think Tank edges it out. Okay, now for Super Cychania. Super Cychania, not much to say. I'd probably say the best super dino. When it's in awaken mode, it can double its technique, 600. Yeah, enough said. Right, now for Gigantspinosaurus. Gigantspinosaurus has strength type, which synergizes really nicely with Rock Roller. A decent crit of 700. This seems to be standard damage for quite a lot of dinos. 700 and then 500, 500. Its technique is relatively low for a silver. For the reason why I put Tyrannosaurus up here, Tyrannosaurus edges it out because its paper crit is that much better. Of course, Gigantspinosaurus does have a lethal type variant which can bump up the crit to 900, but that's still not even close to Tyrannosaurus. And the fact that it does have a paper crit does hurt it a little bit. So I'm probably gonna put it in just a high B. I don't think it's that amazing, and I'd probably say it's the worst Silver Earth dino we have. Right, now for Ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus is an interesting one because I used to use it a lot in the arcade and I found it pretty effective. Of course, this was before moves like Rock Roller and Earth Barrier existed. And Ankylosaurus does have some good battle types: attack type, counter type, crisis type, and rock rock. Its crit is pretty strong. It has good versatility to it with its technique. I'm gonna put it by here. Yeah, I'm gonna put it by there. I think Gastonia does edge it out slightly, but Ankylosaurus is definitely not a bad dinosaur. Definitely a good one. Okay, now for our first gold. Well, technically our third if you count these two, but our first normal gold, the Euoplocephalus. Now, Euoplocephalus is a beast. It is a genuine beast. Think of it like Tarkia, but better, to a degree. In fact, they actually have the exact same stats, I just noticed that. So yeah, everything I said about Tarkia pretty much applies to Euoplocephalus. The only difference is Euoplocephalus is crit is rock. And it does have slightly less technique than the Tarkia, but it does have more health. So I feel like Euoplocephalus is just Tarkia, but better. And I probably say is better than Cychania, which means Cychania probably won't be past Euoplocephalus. Now for the normal Kentrosaurus. Defense type, blitz type, heroic type, 3 pretty decent types. Well, except for blitz type, but nobody uses blitz types in my tournament because blitz type is useless in my tournament. I'd say all the 1400 Earth dinos are pretty much on par with each other. I'd say Kentrosaurus just edges them all out though. In terms of, it has more versatility to it than these other guys. Yeah, actually I'm going to put Gastonia at top. Like this is a really tough tier list because a lot of these Earth dinosaurs are relatively on par with each other. So it's hard to determine which one I think is better. Of course, this is my opinion at the end of the day, so everything you see here isn't like a gospel. It's not like hardcore fact. Okay, now for Panoplosaurus. Panoplosaurus is an interesting one because it only has one printing, like Pinacosaurus. It has a scissors crit. It seems relatively bad. It actually has the same stats as Tarkia, but slightly less health and a bit more technique. So for that reason, I'm going to put it just behind... Actually, I'm going to put it just behind Tyrannosaurus. Yeah. I do think Tank edges it out a bit. Yeah, that's better. I think Tank edges it out a bit. To be honest, I think all four of these are on par with each other. As I said, this is such a tight tier list for Earth dinosaurs. It's insane. Alright, now for the easy one. Armatus, S tier. Not much. This is Super Tarkia. This one may surprise... I'm going to put it by here. You know, solid Super Dino, really, really strong. Crosses the 1,000 technique threshold when in awaken mode. Enough said. Now for the Alpha Kentrosaurus. Now with Alpha Kentrosaurus, it's a solid silver dinosaur. It's very balanced stats. Good versatility to it. You know, it's pretty much the same reason why I put Tarkia and up some of these others up here. I'm going to put it, however, I'm going to put it below Stegosaurus. I think Stegosaurus does edge it out on the power of its crit. Make no mistake, Alpha Kentro, a really solid dinosaur. Now for Cychania. This one may surprise people, because I'm going to put it by here. Yeah, I'm going to put it by there. For a gold, I don't think it's too amazing. It does have the bulk on its side. It does have good battle type. It's the fact that its crit is paper and has such a good crit. It hurts it quite a bit. Of course, it does have low technique, so you don't really... Earth Barrier won't be that effective on it. Just lacks a little bit of versatility for me. In comparison to Euoplocephalus, Cychania does lack a little bit. But it's still an A tier dinosaur, so it's still pretty good. Okay, now for the regular Woohoosaurus. Lowest crit of the Earth dinosaurs, tied with Nodosaurus, which is coming up next. Good battle types. For its versatility, I think it'll go by there. I do think Talaroa slightly edges it out, though, because it does have the attack type variant, which I think is better. But Woohoosaurus is definitely a decent dinosaur. Right, now for Nodosaurus. As I said just now, Nodosaurus has the lowest crit in the game out of the Earth dinosaurs. Its crit is scissors, which definitely helps it out a bit. I'm going to put it... I think it's on par with Polocanthus. I think it's on par with these guys. I don't think it's too amazing. But it's definitely not a bad dinosaur. Right, last but not least, the Sauropelta. Now, Sauropelta definitely has good synergy with Sandtrap because it has type variant and a charge type variant. However, its crit is scissors, and in fact, if it weren't for... As a base crit, it does have the strongest scissors crit at 660. I'm going to put it by here. It does lack a little bit of versatility in comparison to the Santrosaurus. I'm going to put it by there. And yeah, that is the Earth dinosaur tier list. An interesting one, really. Definitely some surprises up here. I'm pretty convinced that not many of you expected some of these dinosaurs to be A tier. But yeah, a pretty good tier list. Not much to say about S tier because it's pretty much all armored dinosaurs, and when I do grass and wind, it'll pretty much be all armored dinosaurs. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe so make sure you don't miss the grass tier list, which will happen soon. And until then, this is me, Stranger Gamer, signing out.